Susan was getting her little son out there.
Yeah, I saw it. And it did get a little nipply in here after me.
No way it's 71 degrees again.
71's either too cold or too hot this time of year. It's a tough time of year. It says 71, so she said there's no way. Okay, we'll wait for Councilor Eby. Councilor Jackson, are you there?
I'm back.
And we are live, Mayor, so.
Okay, and so we will reconvene the meeting after the short break. And I would just like to mention to Adam, the gentleman we were just speaking about, is calling me. So if you want to call him, he's on his phone now. Okay, and Councilor Eby, everyone's here. We're going to move back. Regular item number 1, discussion and possible action on ratification of adoption of Resolution 2022-16, a resolution approving the acquisition of real property plus 0.42 acre. Did I read that correctly? Acre tract of vacant land along the 100 block of Lakeshore Drive, located in Alto, Lincoln County, New Mexico. Rodney.
He's outside.
He's eating cake.
And you let him eat cake, and what happens? You lose control of everything.
Okay, that's it. He's got to give back the property.
While we wait the arrival of St. Rodney Griego,
He's coming.
there he is. So, Rodney, we were having this little discussion, then we realized you weren't in it. So, we're backing up to the discussion of possible action on the resolution for the 0.42 acre plot of land out by Alto Lake.
Mayor and councilors, so the ratification of this resolution is regarding property that the owner graciously and his wife are wanting to donate to the village of Ruidoso. This piece of property, as you mentioned, is roughly about 0.42 acres. It's located immediately adjacent to the property we previously purchased on Lakeshore Drive. This particular piece of property actually is, it includes a portion of the driveway and on how you access that property. And so, again, as I mentioned, the owners have graciously, wished to donate this to the village to clean up that access issue, as well as to provide the opportunity to develop that property, with the intention of adding a benefit of to the kids' pond picnic area and so forth. So they do wish to retain about roughly 100 foot on the far western boundary. It was noted on the plat that I attached. But that's the only thing that they wish to retain off of it.
Well, we certainly appreciate the Gabors seeing the need and really feeling the deal. And so I believe we did a resolution acknowledging their gift to the village. Is there anything else that you think that we can do for them that they've requested?
So included in the resolution, they would like to recognize the property or it to be named Rats Cove.
Rats?
R-A-C-Z, I believe that's how you say it, Rats Cove. And
Gabor Rats.
yes. And in kind of, we do have a naming policy that we've discussed over the years, and that's one of the criteria is if you give a donation, that's one of the criteria for having naming rights. And I was hoping that we could follow that and agree to name that particular area Rats Cove in recognition of their donation.
Sure, I think so.
Well, since that's not in the, oops, sorry. Since that's not on the agenda, do we have to bring that back at another time to approve that?
You could amend it, I mean,
It does say in the resolution hereinafter referred to as Rats Cove, if you would
Oh, it
like to
does. Okay.
see to me process the paperwork with the naming rights, I could do that if you wish.
No, I think you got it covered there. Sorry, I didn't pull the resolution itself up.
okay. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Can we get a motion reflecting the addition of naming it Rats Cove?
Oh, Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ratification of adoption of Resolution 2022-16, a resolution approving the acquisition of real property, a .42 acre tract of vacant land along the 100 block of Lakeshore Drive, located in Alto, Lincoln County, New Mexico.
And
Naming it.
Do I have to say name it?
And name it?
Naming
And naming it Rats Cove.
Second.
Okay, any final discussion? Roll call, Ron.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Lutterman?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's
It was very nice of the Rats, appreciate that. Item number 2, discussion and possible action on a small purchase agreement with Zip Masters Zipline to operate a zip line at 200 Country Club Drive from May 15th, 2022 to October 31st, 2022.
Mayor and councilors, so the small purchase agreement before you today is regarding the operation of a zip line at 200 Country Club Drive property, which is the property we just recently acquired. Will be closing on this week. We would like to look at a 1 year, and it says 1 year, but the term is actually up until October of operating that zip line for just this season. I have approached the owner of Zip Masters to see if to gauge their interest. They are interested in operating. I do have a list of terms and requirements that we've requested in the scope of services. They are agreeable to each of those. The compensation to the village is 10% of gross profits from all of the zipline sales conducted by that contractor. I guess that.
What about location on the property?
So location on the property at this time, I would say that unless we renegotiate some or have come to a conclusion that it's going to basically be in the same location. We really haven't delved into too much of the layout of how we're going to use the property. I do have a conceptual plan process that we're having our first initial meeting with the planner tomorrow. So, I mean, I may end up going back and visiting with Zip Masters to relocate it somewhat, but in general, it's going to be where it is now.
Mr. Mayor, Rodney?
Yes, sir.
Where are they going to store this at the end of the season?
So this agreement is only through October 31st, and included in the agreement is they have 30 days at the end of the operations to remove it from the property. So where it ends up getting stored, I'm not sure, but it will not be stored at 200 Country Club Drive.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Rodney, for just discussion again, it was asked previously and I'll ask again. This individual is staying there somewhat territorially because they've been there for quite some time, but going forward, it will be put out for bid.
That is correct. This is just a temporary one-season agreement. Once we've established, gone through our conceptual plan, we've looked at other opportunities. If and when we deem that we desire other opportunities, we will go out for proposals.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Well, as I was stating last week when we had our discussion, our workshop, I don't think that we bought that $1.9 million property to put a zip line on. And just because they've been there in the past doesn't mean that, I don't think that that property shouldn't be for a zip line. And, I think the world of Tom and Casey and their organization, but they've got, I don't think that that's the right place for that, for the zip line. That's, we don't have a master plan for it, but, just putting some picnic tables or something would be a lot better than that. I just had to just say that again.
Tim?
If I could elaborate a
Yes,
little
you go
more
right
on
ahead.
that. So again, I mentioned that we have Groundwork Studios going to have a kickoff meeting tomorrow to look at other opportunities for the property. At this stage, we have identified some other uses that we would like to present. The most important, I think, is at this time is the expansion of the parking. So we would like to expand the parking area. We're going to be looking at the possibility of adding walking trail in there, electrical service to support events, looking at an area where we can stage an event stage like for concerts, an addition of picnic tables, a pavilion. But again, nothing has been predetermined at this point. We'll be looking at those opportunities. In the interim, we have started planning some small-scale community events in that area. At this point, we have one confirmed for the Aspen Cash Motorcycle Weekend. We'll be having a free community concert there in the park with with beer sales, food vendors.
On the property?
On the property. And just for the purpose of just for this discussion, we have kind of planned to work around that. And I don't believe that operation for this year, if it's decided on that it's something that we continue to operate, it wouldn't impact that. I also did visit with the Main Street Director, Kendra King, just to gauge if she had any feedback on the contract with Zipmasters, and she just shared with me, and this wasn't on a stance from the board or anything, it was just from her position. She didn't see any negatives to having that operation there. I just thought I would get her feedback to see, what her thoughts was on it.
Well, I'd say I kind of agree that I don't know that the zip line is the best place there for the long term. However, this is just one season, and we don't have, for us to try and do anything on that property within this season. I know you guys are swamped and, running like chickens with your heads cut off anyways. So I don't have a problem with the one season, but let's see what the conceptual plan comes up with, and it may not be something for the long term at that location.
And I'd like to ask, we're talking about 10% of gross profit. There's a lot of leeway in gross profit. So I know the inspection, so it's been there before. Do you have any past indications of what kind of revenue we're looking at for all this discussion?
It was brought up, but quite some time before this discussion ever came up, just previous conversations, but there's nothing that I feel comfortable sharing. I don't have a good number of.
Well, in lieu of rent, this is all the revenue that we're getting.
Right.
So I don't know, I'm a little sticky on just the gross profit, 10%. If you'd said gross revenue, I'd have been better about it. And I'm a big fan of what they do, but I'm not a fan of this contract. And I personally am with Coughlin on that. I think that 1 year, since we don't have a lot of plans besides maybe coming out there with some equipment and making some additional parking spots there for people to park, and then having an event out there in the summer, I think that's great. That's the only conflict I have really with it is the amount of contract that we're going to be paid. I agree with the insurances, all the other things, the inspections, on all that, but we still can't tell them how much they're going to pay their employees, how much they're going to, spend on this, that, or the other.
Well, in the agenda memo, it does say 10% of gross revenues, but in the agreement itself, it does say gross profits.
Profit, yeah.
Which,
So-
I'm not a favor of that. It should always just be revenues.
So if we can find out if it's revenue, then I'll pull back my comment, but I'm just looking at what's in the agreement.
Mayor, I would suggest that if you're gonna approve it, that you just approve it and clarify that that the village's expectation.
It's gross profit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Gross revenue.
Gross revenue.
Gross revenue, I'm sorry.
The only question I had, and I'm sorry I missed the workshop last week, was I was hoping that there would have been, a site plan of the parking, because you mentioned that, and that would be my priority of how many cars are going to be able to park there, because in this agreement, there's 8 of them.
For just them?
Just for them, where I'd say no, that, that shouldn't, or I don't know, maybe there was designed for 50. I'm estimating 50 spots, which that could be reasonable. But that's what I was hoping for. It's kind of a site plan of where the zip line, I mean, we all see where it's at, but how with the parking going, and then like you said, future plan of here's the stage for the concert. This area is going to be roped off for a small event going on there or what have you. So that's the only question I had on here.
To address the parking, so the initial discussion I had with the planner was to try to have at least 50 spaces there.
Good.
Now, again, we haven't done any measurements, any walkthrough. I wish we would have had that completed by this, but unfortunately, I was not able to get that completed. But that's the goal, is to have 50 total spaces.
Right.
Part of our just kind of initial pre-discussion is to even set it back off away from the road a little ways. And
Yes.
So you're not seeing a parking lot right along Sutterth Drive. Just set it back just a little bit off back towards the river, but still on the upper level area. And I still think we can get the 50 spaces. And then as far again at this point, the layout, I'm not sure if you all attended the concert that we had there last year. We did
I
have an
didn't make
agreement
it.
with the previous owner, and we had an event there last year, and we were able to fit in a stage in that area with picnic tables and a food vendor without rearranging anything or making any changes at that time. But now we'll have the opportunity to seek the best layout for the park and make those changes based on those decisions. But we would like to have 50 parking spaces. And that's something that I would like to achieve right away. Even if it's, we make room of removing a few of the elm trees that are in that area, some of the T-posts and rocks, and then even if we have a simple gravel parking lot, I think we can achieve that 50 spaces before the kickoff of the summer, is what I anticipate.
And when will you bring that plan?
So I would imagine at the rate that they've been working on these conceptual plans that I could have an initial plan from tomorrow's date. Probably within 2 weeks, I could at least have a first
I
draft.
think we'd like to see that, and we just signed the paperwork today. I know the posts are out there. So if you can
Right.
see, and then what you're talking about parking is over at the riverside where that big granite wall is?
Where the current gravel parking lot is off of Country Club Drive, but it would have to go deeper into the park and then further north.
Okay.
See, I have it flipped. I have it closer to the street, right off when you turn off in there and stuff, so that when Midtown shoppers come in and park, they'll be right in the business district.
Well, I can see his
Right.
point. We put it up, then you see all the activity from the road, and the sidewalk is continued on from there.
Yes, and that would include So right now, there's a small gap on our river trail. So the river trail that starts on Eagle Drive and comes up to Rio Street, and then there's a walking path along Rio Street. There's a gap from the end of Rio Street that crosses Country Club and ties into Sutterth Drive. So that's also something that we've mentioned to the planner. We want to see some sort of a crossing for Rio Street and a sidewalk along that remaining couple hundred feet that will tie in to Sutterth Drive. And then I'll have to work through with the planning department. I'm not sure how close a driveway can be to Sutterth Drive as well for the parking area, but we'll make sure we,
Would you put the driveway on Sutterth or on that side street?
on the side.
On the side,
street, okay.
on Country Club.
Yeah. But then remember also, Rifle, Region 9 has agreed to allow us to use their parking lot, so that'll provide a lot of parking over on that side too.
I'm aware of
Yeah.
that, which, that's on the weekends and stuff. But
Even during the week, they're not filling that parking lot.
it looked pretty full the other day to me. Maybe they were having training or something
They
like
might
that,
have.
because it was pretty full.
Okay, so before us right now is, do we want, and we can talk about this conceptual plan on the parking, so you've already heard discussions on, in the front, in the back, on the side, so that's another issue. What we're talking about here today is approving this agreement for this 1 year ending in October 31st, 2022 for gross revenue, 10%. And so that's what we're looking at right now. And so we've had some discussion on it, so could I get a motion on this item, please?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve agreement with Zipmaster's Zipline to operate a zipline at 200 Country Club Drive from May 15th, 2022 through October 31st, 2022, clarifying that that the agreement will be 10% of revenues.
Gross revenues.
Just revenue is gross.
And you have net revenues.
Okay,
We want
gross revenues.
We want gross, and you can put frickin' in there if you want to.
The frickin' gross
Frickin'
revenues.
gross revenues. Okay, so we have a motion, second?
Do we have a second?
Did we?
Yeah. I said second, the very moment you said.
Oh, did
second.
you? I must have been
I didn't
thinking
hear
of
it.
my smart aleck quip. Sorry. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, Ron, roll call, please.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
No.
Counselor Salas,
No,
Counselor Hooker,
No.
Counselor Jackson.
No.
So that's 4-2.
4-2.
42.
Man, I almost got
Man,
to
you
vote.
did close to voting.
Where's two?
And the reason why I voted no was because I didn't see a plat of how many parking spots. If I would have seen attached to here, here's where the parking is, here's the 8 spots for the zip line, and the rest is open to the public, so.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I thought it was very confusing about how we were going to integrate all these activities. And I saw a health and wellness issue from the get-go. Not that people fall off zip lines, but with parking, and then you're having an event center, and you're having bands. I don't know, I wasn't feeling the love with this.
Event center?
Well, you were doing, I thought you were going to put on an event with band and a band dome.
Oh, yeah,
And
a band.
and then seating and all of that, and that doesn't fit this at all.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
item number 3. Discussion and possible action on adoption of Resolution 2022-19, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023 July 1, 2022-June 30th, 2023 budget for all funds to the local government division of the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration. Judy. Do we already,
Oh, this is.
something different?
No.
No, it's, this is in addition to, I just thought you might want to see it for reference when we have the discussion. I didn't print it out before. And then I sat thinking that maybe this might be handy for you guys.
And for those of you that don't know, we've met on this last week to get any questions answered. And so she's updated us with some more trees.
In tiny print.
Yeah, that's what I love about these, is the exceptionally tiny print. I came very well prepared with my
So-
cheaters.
I have put in front of you a schedule of positions, and it's kind of the bluish colored one, yes. It's a short one,
Oh, yes.
and it says personnel requests. And I've also included a capital outlay request that lists out every single capital outlay item that the departments have requested. And I've also included, what I just gave you is a detailed personnel list, updated numbers. So we'll be talking about all those, and I did give you an ending budget recap. It's the one that's pink and blue and green. That shows you the actual revenues and expenditures by department, by fund. So, I'll try to keep this short and sweet. Overall, the budget, when we presented it, last week, from cheat sheets, budgeted expenditures for the village in total through all the funds was at $46,884,581, and that is a combination of personnel, operations, and capital outlay. After going through department and where people were increasing because some of the amounts are wrong and decreasing and all those changes, and then based on what you approved as positions and what we've included as capital outlay, the total expenditures now are $46,247,723. So they have gone down $636,858. But I wanted to let you know things that I have changed from what the presentation that you received last week versus what is in front of you. The first thing, I did correct the service credit calculation. It was calculating everybody around 5%, and I did fix the formula. So I brought it down. However, that saving was offset with the increase that we heard about.
And our insurance.
For our health insurance. We did meet, our renewal rate with Blue Cross is at 36%. That was our renewal rate. However, since we did renew the dental plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield, we did save 1%. There is no increase in the dental and there is no increase in the vision. So those rates will stay the same. However, our health insurance did go up dramatic.
So we are gonna renew the vision, even though there's no providers in the area?
They're working on it
Working on
right
it.
now.
Okay.
There was a misinterpretation on paperwork when it was turned in, if it wasn't turned in, but they're getting it squared.
Okay.
So we have included that increase of 35% in this new total. So my error in over-calculating the service credit kind of offset the increase in the increase. However, once I took out all the positions, personnel did go down 1.8.
So you heard that, she thought she was wrong, but she was actually right. But
There's all little miracles, right?
yeah, a lot of little miracles, living right. So in our insurance, first rattle out of the box back was 41%
Right.
increase, and then
But we had talked about possibly looking at increasing
the
deductibles.
deductible, and we did analyze that, and the savings was
Didn't make up for the increase.
not a
in
whole lot at
deductibles.
all,
Okay.
and, and we were looking at, what we did is last year, we've been able to maintain our rates pretty solid over the last 2 years. I think we didn't even really have an increase, but we had a lot of big payouts.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was hoping a more formal apology, but
I'm
I was just teasing.
sorry.
What if we exclude Tim?
we just cut this portion out. But anyway, I'm just pulling his leg. We had several big claims this year.
I was one of them.
And that's what insurance is for.
Yep.
So we were able to, through your happy accident and continued GRT increases and things like that, we're able to absorb it this year. So carry on.
Tim,
So,
just think of it as water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge. It would have been down the zip line, but no. No way.
and as you can see, the positions that were actually approved were we added the animal control code enforcement officer, the rec leader, custodian, and parks maintenance worker, the 2 maintenance workers for the streets department, and the water resource manager. So all the other positions were taken out of the budget.
If we can just fill those positions.
If we can just fill them.
Yes, if we can fill them. So, that's the good thing about the budget is any position, I think I took, a snapshot at the beginning of April. So any position that was vacant is already included in the budget, so we don't have to worry about if we hire somebody that was vacant or anything like that. On capital outlay, we had, we did include $7 million as projects and equipment purchases, so that is also included in the budget. And we also got the final letter of award on the DW grant, so that is Fund 223. And so now you'll see that that grant is worth $209,526. And this is on the budget recap that shows it by fund, the personnel, supplies, services, debt service. So that is one change that you did not see in the original budget because we had not got the word yet. We did make all the changes at the hearings. And I had to adjust the subsidy to the streets department in order for the additional insurance. So that subsidy increased. And also the JUB, I did send Mary the 2 budgets for the consolidated dispatch and the joint use board, and she was okay with them. And she did send us their admin fees that they get to deduct off their share. So the amounts that are in the regional wastewater treatment plan, which is number 510, it's highlighted in lilac. Those are just,
Lilac, what in the world?
Yes.
You're going pretty fast, and I'm trying to cross-check, what you're saying here, but, can we go back to the Vector truck?
Sure.
On your capital outlay? You had that calculated at, 7,740.
month?
Over 5 years, it comes out to the 500, but, are you setting aside the whole amount?
No, I'm only setting aside the year's amount because it's a rental.
Okay.
But I haven't noted that I have to rebudget it in the next 5 years. And that way it is automatically included in the budget. That will be the same thing for the 950 loader that is in the streets department. That's a little ways up from there. The rental is $5,750 per month. So in this budget, we've only did 12 months.
Yeah, and then you had the additional increases in the other vehicles within that department? Is that based off state contract, or what is that?
In water distribution, which is 502,220.
I'm just looking at the changes that you, in that same department.
Yeah, it went from 25 to 42.
Okay, so I just want to point those out.
We discussed those because those prices were really
And I
low.
also did change,
But did you confirm that that's the state price agreement amounts?
Adam said that's what, when he looked at his specs, that's what the amount would be too.
The 25 to 42, Adam?
And then I also did change in the convention center, in the general fund, that is kind of towards the middle. He had life cycle repairs at 180, and it was requested to cut it down by 90,000.
Yeah, I saw those.
Oh, okay.
Then you also went up on the gravel request,
Excuse me?
the gravel and paving?
Gravel and paving, yes, when we found out, he had included, I thought the 240 that he had in the account was for the gravel, but we found out that 200,000 was for the gravel and 40,000 was just for routine building maintenances that he usually incurs during a year.
Okay. That's all the questions I had, Mayor. I just want to make sure that,
Okay, thank you.
refer back to my notes there.
And we
Okay.
did, I have talked to Rodney, and we're trying to coordinate, the pool cover and the basketball goals and the floor scrubber. We're trying to get those
This season.
this
Yeah.
season, before he gets his busy season, and so they're working on the quotes and stuff.
Okay, back to 502. That's where you were at, correct?
Yeah, those are the only other changes, I believe, if I recall, other than and I did make a note on the capital outlay for the police cars, that we would look at mid-year, to see
good.
if the inventory has, regrouped and is available. At that time, we would look at to see if we wanted more cars or not.
Because we're still waiting on the 4 from the year before.
Yes.
Good thing we keep good care of our trucks, our cars. Okay.
Any more questions on capital outlay?
I think you've got it all in there. I was happy to see the streets, and back to the personnel requests, I was happy to see that. I just hope we can fill them all. Any questions?
And the detailed, actual line item budget is actually in the agenda memo, and it's called Budget Worksheet Final. If you are in particular, if you wanted to see like small tools in Parks and Rec, you could go to that PDF and search for that department, and be able to, find those amounts. Or if anybody has any questions. Is there anything else you want me to go more in detail on?
I think you've done it.
Done it.
Wonderful job again, and the last week and the week before that,
Thank you.
we've been reading this, and then appreciate the staff through the 2 solid days of budget planning, and all the directors and administration coming in and presenting the numbers, and then you put them in here, and thankful that we were able to move on as many items as that we were. There was a time when we couldn't move on.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Judy.
Sure, and per Manager's Dodge request, I will be submitting a separate memo to our analysts to let them know that we realize that we are using cash,
Yes.
so that we don't
Looks
get
like
a,
we're broke, yeah.
yeah, and that we are still gonna maintain our required reserves.
And we'll have ours in 2 weeks before it's due.
I'm shooting for Friday.
Yeah, approving this today puts us, way ahead.
So let's hope they use that FIFO method. First in, first out.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve Resolution 2022-19, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023, July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, budget for all funds to the Local Government Division of the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration.
Second.
Final discussion? Roll call, Ron.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Item number 4, discussion and possible action on award of RFP number 2022-008P to Valor Telecommunications of Texas, LLC, DBA Windstream Communications for broadband expansion. And so, welcome. You weren't here last week to do this, so are you comfortable in front of this ferocious council?
So, thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate your time. So we are here to discuss we went out for solicitation for the broadband expansion project. We issued an RFP to solicit proposals. It's to implement an expansion of existing infrastructure, construction of new infrastructure, deployment, operations, and maintenance of the broadband network to provide internet service to all homes and businesses throughout the village. We hired Herman Baca. He's our consultant. He's the expert in this, and so he's going to be here to.
Does anybody have any additional questions for Herman? We
No.
appreciate everything that you've educated us on. on the things that we've always wanted that we somehow didn't get included in our contracts. And so we appreciate the fiber to the house, that last mile stuff in here, symmetry on our up and down loads. Yeah, it took me a while to get the sim out, but
Like
we appreciate
this.
that. And then the affordability clause in there that we really are thankful for. So again, once we award this, then we can go into, now we had how many companies? 3?
We had 2 companies submit. We had
Okay.
Rosa Communications and Valor Telecommunications, DBA Windstream.
And this will be done within 10 years.
I think it was 18 months,
That's
wasn't
what he said.
it? 18 months or a year if we went.
They have it on paper as 18 months, so, yes.
Okay?
So we did go through the proposals, the evaluation team scored them, and decided that Valor Communications met all the requirements of the procurement that we were looking for, and they scored the highest, and they had the best overall proposal. So we feel like they can provide the best service to us, so.
And we appreciate you, Herman, lining us all out on some of those hidden
Yes.
things we
Very
didn't
much so.
understand that we should.
Mayor, Council, I've asked Judy to come up because, you talked about, once we make this award, what's the next steps?
Right.
So Judy, can you talk about what the next steps are going to be when we move forward into contracting? And then I'll also talk about some of the reporting that we've had with the recovery plan and, on how you're planning on paying for it.
So yes, after the award is made, then a team from the village, the procurement, probably purchasing agent, and we'll probably keep Herman and a couple of village staff, and we will meet with Windstream to actually negotiate the contract, what the dates of construction are, the terms, anything that we need. We will come back with a contract signed by both parties. And then the way that we'll pay for it is through our American Rescue
ARPA,
money.
American Recovery.
Yes, and one of the designations is for broadband communication. We did have a report due to the Treasury because they want to know if you're using the money and how you're using it. And I did find out that the Treasury is allowing a standard allowance of $10 million or up to the total of your disbursement. Our disbursement was 1.9 million as revenue loss or revenue replacement. And in that, when you do that, take that allowance, you do not have to calculate a revenue loss. When I calculate the revenue loss by ourselves, without the standard allowance, I'm coming up with $1,028,000. However, if I take the standard allowance, I can use my whole grant as a revenue replacement. So within that, you also have to use or tell the Treasury how you're going to use that money up, whether you're going to do parks, whatever. So I currently have a question or looking for somebody to ask the question is, because broadband is one of the categories that's allowable in the use of the grant funds, if I can still use that as a reason of how we're going to use the revenue replacement. The drawback in calculating and using that as a separate standalone category is that anybody that we pay over $50,000, we have to individually name on the Treasury website, and then we have to make sure that they're recorded in SAMs, and there's a lot of more stuff that you have to report. So I'm hoping that we could take the standard allowance and still use those expenditures broadband to the customers as an eligible use for the government services. So right now, the Treasury, once I did have problems logging in, and once we made a case, I did get an answer pretty quick. So I'm hoping that once I get to the right person, I'll have an answer and I'll be able to finish our reporting requirement, which was April 30th, but we got an extension because we had a little snafu about logging in and stuff. Once I do this report, I won't have to report again till next year.
Good.
However, as I spend the money, I think I'm going to just keep on reporting once I get in, because waiting a year might be too long. So as we spend going forward, once I get the clear
perspective of what I can use as revenue replacement, then I'll start reporting more often once we use the money.
And Mayor, we have banked the first distribution and they're getting ready to release the second.
So we have that portion.
And our portion was $1 million.
1.95 something.
Yeah, so half of the,
We got like 900 and some thousand.
Got it.
Okay?
And Mayor, just to be clear, you mentioned something about taking fiber to the household. It's actually into the household.
Yeah, into the household, correct, Herman?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
We talked about that. It goes all the way to the router, so there's going to be no copper in between there.
And the only thing is that you might lose a little bit is from the router through the Wi-Fi.
Through Wi-Fi, which you normally do, whenever you go that way.
Yep.
So I will say that I've got poles in my backyard that, where the lines run, so those can be the first ones to get installed. I'm offering that up.
So, Herman, I know that we appreciate, sending out the email to our PIO and I think to the chamber and everything where people could actually log on from their home and test their internet speed, and we found out we weren't even meeting the minimum that the federal government requires.
At many locations, we did not meet the minimum requirement, meaning you're underserved as by their definition.
Yeah, and the contract that we're gonna get is not gonna say up to.
No, it's, they're gonna provide, 1,000 megabits per second, which is 1 gigabit per second, symmetric.
Up and down,
Upload and download, yes.
because that's where they caught Coughlin.
That's right. I'm guaranteed, well, I'm up to 4 megabits, but I'm getting like
1.3
1.3, 2.6 on a good day.
standard, yeah.
And you took the survey at home.
And I took the survey at home, connected to the hardwired in, yeah.
they're saying 18 months to complete that for the village? They're saying 18 months to complete that for the village?
Yeah, and they can do it because a lot of history. I know you've only been in town 24 hours, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And we'll be happy to talk to you. And we've done stuff with fiber to the village, the backbone.
As long as you get them to do that, I remember suffering through AT&T and Comcast in Atlanta, and they had all that same thing on TV. Turns out it's like less than 10% of the customer base, so.
Yeah, no, they know, they've been here working with us for the last 2 years here now.
That's awesome, man.
Okay, so any more questions from this lovely group?
Recommendations to award.
Okay, need a motion,
I'll
please?
make a motion that we award RFP number 2022-008P to Valley Telecommunications of Texas LLC DBA Windstream Communications for broadband expansion.
Second.
Any final discussion?
Second.
Final discussion? No. Roll call, Ron?
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action on change order number 1 with White Sands Construction, Inc. for the RJU shop building project, requested an extension of 117 calendar days to September 26th, 2022, and increasing contract price by $28,327.85, including gross receipts tax. Adam?
Mayor, Council, there's 3 pieces to this change order
Yes.
with White Sands. The first one is increased contract time for 40 days. And that was, if you guys remember, the building relocation.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas had brought up, it's close to the edge, this and that, whatever. So they had to go back and actually relocate the building further over. We had actually looked in that time. We had actually looked at relocating the building, the original spot we had talked to, but the bank was too. There wasn't enough engineering.
Stabilization and,
and they actually, White Sands had mobilized on site and did the staking. So the cost that incurred for them being mobilized is what they're asking for. And they did give us a break on the costs and charges half the man hours for that.
okay, and we move the utilities, the electrical.
The second one was the 44 days for the movement of the electrical line to the well. We set the generator there, and same thing with that. They incurred their costs with that. And the third one is 33 days for adverse weather, and they did provide the documentation for the weather days.
Everybody knows we don't like change orders, and that's why we do our PERs and all that other stuff with it. We've reviewed, and most of this was, it had to be done, and some of it was our fault. Any other questions from Adam?
I still don't get why that wasn't caught ahead of time.
Well, then we went into about the way it was designed on the plat, and then,
I know.
okay.
Do you need a
Yes, ma'am.
move that we accept change order number 1 with White Sands Construction, Inc. for the RJU Shop Building Project, requesting an extension of 117 calendar days to September 26, 2022, and increasing contract price by $28,327.85, including gross receipts.
Second.
Okay, any additional comments? None, roll call, Ron.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
No,
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
So, I know it's only taken 5 years, 6 years to get your building, but you're still a little ways away.
Yeah, can't wait.
Item number 6, discussion and possible action on change order number 1 with J29 Enterprise LLC on project number IFB number 2022-002B for the Paradise Canyon Lateral Replacements Project, requesting an extension of 14 calendar days to May 27th, 2022.
Mayor, Council, this one, the first thing that came apart when J29 first mobilized on this project, I didn't feel there was adequate PSAs sent out for them to shut down the road and turn off the water. And we were going to turn the water around on Sudworth, but the businesses hadn't been notified like I'd like to. So they did mobilize, but they just did the valving. There was new valves installed. So that held them back a week on that one because I wanted at least 72 hours, and they gave me a week to go ahead and send out the PSAs. The second portion of this is for the Mcbride Fire. I did have them demobilize so we could open up the road and get emergency vehicles through.
And then we changed their working schedule to 4 days a week to accommodate weekend traffic.
Right.
I noticed they weren't even working on Monday because the road was open. Paradise was open.
I think this last Monday they couldn't get asphalt. They were patching the road.
Okay.
And I think asked, but I'll ask again, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, they're gonna come back and that whole road's gonna get paved, or is that something after this project?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Hooker, yes. They're patching it for now because when Cutler comes through, they have to have something to mill up. So, and of course, we want traffic to be able to get through. But yes, that is one of the roads Cutler's going to be.
That's right, it's gonna be that machine that
Right.
mills it.
Mills it, adds it, puts it down.
and those patches are so much better than, that gravel lasts a few hours, then it's gone.
And this is no cost, it's just extending.
It's
the
just
days.
extended.
Okay.
Mary, just, the Cutler project is getting ready to mobilize the 1st of June. Paradise is gonna be the last stretch that they, work on it. That's probably about a 3-day project. But, they're not gonna be hitting that till like mid-July. So they're gonna get, Gavilan Canyon and Warrior first.
Gavilan from 70 basically to 48.
Yes, sir.
The Alto Cafe.
And we are gonna be looking at, improving the
Shoulders.
shoulders and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a long time coming.
Didn't they just do, in the last year or so, at a section of Gavilan? Seems like they redid.
They came in and the county did some areas over on their end of it.
Right.
Where they were
Now
fixing
they're
and
gonna
patching
redo
it.
it.
And, they were just potholing it.
Oh, I thought it was a Cutler method.
I'm not aware of
They,
it.
Councilor Coughlin, they did mill up, but there was just strips.
Oh, okay.
The road was bad, so they did mill that up, recompact, and then.
They didn't do the whole road, just the bad sections.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
I make a motion.
Make a motion to approve change order number 1 with J29 Enterprises LLC on project number IFB 2022-002B for the Paradise Canyon Lateral Replacement Project, requesting an extension of 14 calendar days to May 27th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Ron?
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks. Thank you, Adam. And then I need to talk to you about a resident that's over there, that they've messed up her driveway and she has trouble getting, you know what I'm talking about?
I believe so.
Kelly's sister, groomer, all for pets, I'll get back with you, because I got a call this morning about it. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on third renewal land agreement by and between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and Robert Goss. Hello, Austin.
Mr. Mayor, members
Good to
of
see
the
you.
council, it's good to see y'all again. So before we jump into this, last time we discussed a few changes we need to make to the agreement, minor errors, one of them in paragraph 2, and the next one under item number 2, after now, therefore. Those have been corrected, and then we have also added the previous amounts. So I'll go ahead and read those out to you. Starting with 1, the land lease agreement is hereby renewed for a period of 5 years, commencing May 1st, 2022, and shall terminate on April 30th, 2027. Payment provisions are modified to reflect CPI increase amount per square foot. This increase shall be approximately 1 cent. The previous amount of 11 cents per square foot, or $357.50 annually, to a new rate of approximately 13 cents per square foot. The new annual land lease amount will be $421.58. Number 3, the water. And briefly, I'll stop. I do plan on meeting with Adam before this week is over to discuss water meters, how many we need and approximately how much it's going to cost. Once we kind of get there, then I'll go in and talk to Eric Boyda, see if we can discuss charging rates as we do in Ruidoso.
Or something, I mean, I know those people use very minimal
Sure.
water, you know, so we're not looking at 3,000 gallons or anything like that, but I think $16, you know, it costs us more than that to treat it and get it to them. So did you ever determine how many of those hangars have water?
I want to say we have anywhere from
Adam knows?
15 to 20.
Mr. Mayor, the last time I was out there and did anything with those hangars, I think we counted like 16 of them that did have active water. And I have worked with him on, we're going to get some prices on some meters and some endpoints, so we can have the radio reads and everything, and kind of do the same thing we're doing in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can verify
What they're using and not. Yeah, we just,
how many actually, you know, that are hooked up now, you know, just back then.
right. Because I know that there's one that was or is being purchased and they're wanting to have water so they can, you know, soap and water and stuff like that. So, okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Adam.
So the water payment provisions are modified to reflect CPI increase. The increase shall be $3.04 from the previous amount of $16.94 per month. So the new monthly water rate will be $19.98 or $239.76 annually. All other terms and conditions of this land lease agreement as amended shall remain unchanged.
Okay. Anyone?
I move that we accept the third renewal land lease agreement by and between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and Robert H. Goss.
Second.
Okay. Any final discussion? Roll call, Ron.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Now that concludes the public portion of today's program, and we'll be entering into closed session. So could I get a motion for closed session, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move into closed session for discussion of limited personnel matters, citing 1015-1H2 NMSA 1978. Further discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened and/or pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso may become a participant, citing 1015-187 NMSA 1978. And finally, discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 1015-1H8 NMSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session will be brought back into open session.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Any final discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to request that we invite Tim Roberts and Austin.
And I want to add them in there first with the attorney. Okay. Okay, and thank you, Dr. Wordsmith. That was great. So we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Okay, if we will adjourn to the executive room, please.
Thanks for
Oh,
coming.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
am I to log in on a different site?
Call in.
Ron?
We'll do a call in on Counselor Jackson.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bet.